I'm a huge fan of the Roth IRA, but it is time to rethink your Roth IRA contributions. I've got 3 reasons why. That and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernardo, the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Are you funding a Roth IRA? And if you're not, why not? I would assume, as opposed to, well, you got to rule that in or rule it out. I would assume that you should be, and you need to rule it out. Looking at all 6 areas of your financial life, I would assume the tax advantages and kind of directionally where things could be going for our country and taxes and inflation and all that sort of stuff. Assume that it's a given you should be funding a Roth IRA, and then working with your CFP, looking at all 6 areas of your financial life. Maybe you have competing priorities. Maybe your cash flow is suggests that you shouldn't. Maybe a tax picture suggests you shouldn't. Rule the Roth IRA out versus assuming you shouldn't and rule it in. Just assume that you should, okay? Once you have ruled it in, once you are contributing to a Roth IRA, many people put it on autopilot, and that's fantastic. You should automate all of your savings. Putting it on autopilot doesn't mean that you shouldn't revisit it every once in a while and confirm, is this the right approach? Is there something different that I need to do? So if you haven't tuned in to your Roth IRA contributions in a while, I've got a few reasons why it's time to rethink those Roths and just confirm, hey, should you be doing Roth IRA contributions or should you pivot? First reason is, has your household income increased above the thresholds, the limits, where you're actually no longer eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA? And you might say, well, thanks, Captain Obvious. If you make too much to contribute to the Roth, then don't contribute to a Roth. Guys, you have no idea how sneaky this is. You don't get a letter in the mail that says, hey, you're no longer allowed to do this, by the way. There's no big notice to warn you that, hey, you have exceeded the limits. And because a lot of times people don't input their Roth IRA contributions on their tax return because there's no tax deduction, and a lot of companies are not issuing tax forms called 5498s anymore. People just sort of, I don't even need to put that on my tax return, and they don't realize that they're actually above the limit. If you're above the limit, the income limit, and you still make a contribution to the Roth IRA, that's an excess contribution. There's penalties involved. It gets very, very messy. I've had a few situations where folks would just reach out to us from time to time, not doing planning, but just we were sort of adjacently, tangentially involved in their life, and a couple years went by and they reached out and said, hey, just want to connect with you. And as we sat down, they were still funding their Roth IRAs automatically every single month, yet their income had gone like this. And so they were now well above the limit. We had to go back and fix several years of contributions because they actually weren't eligible. So absolutely automate your savings. If the Roth IRA makes sense, make sure you're contributing consistently, but tune into it, rethink those, and confirm that your income level is still below the limit so that you're eligible to make those Roth IRA contributions. Second reason to rethink your Roth IRA contributions, are you close to receiving some extra tax benefits, but you just missed out because your income was just a little bit too high? Because the Roth IRA is after tax contributions, doesn't help you on your taxes today. It grows tax sheltered, and then you can withdraw the growth tax free when you're in retirement after having a Roth IRA for 5 years. It doesn't help you on your taxes today. But if you are really close to a threshold where you would get some tax credits, get some extra tax deductions, and it would be more beneficial for those dollars to your retirement contributions to give you a deduction today so you can get these other, reap these other tax benefits, then yeah, you need to pivot. You need to shift from Roth to pre-tax. A few that come to mind, the Retirement Savers Tax Credit. This is a big one, and we debate this internally because sometimes you're right on the cusp and you're not going to get the Retirement Savers Credit, so you should do some pre-tax to get your adjusted gross income below the threshold, and now you're getting those tax credits. But other times, you need a little bit more deduction to get an even bigger Retirement Savers Tax Credit. The first threshold is a 10% credit. The next threshold is a 20% credit, and the biggest threshold is a 50% tax credit if your income is low enough. And so that may be a reason to rethink your Roth. Also, if you've got kids in college, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, only available if your adjusted gross income is below certain levels. And those levels, by the way, guys, over the past decade or so, have not changed. Even though income has gone up and inflation's gone up, those levels haven't changed. And so if you're right on the cusp there, you might want to rethink Roth and go pre-tax instead so that you can actually get and receive some of those American Opportunity Tax Credits. Advanced premium tax credits, other tax credits out there, rethink your Roth. Make sure it makes sense for you to do after-tax contributions instead of getting some deduction and receiving some more tax credits as well. And then finally, a third reason to rethink your Roth contributions: do you have access to contribute to a health savings account, and are you optimizing it? Are you contributing as much as you possibly can? Now you might say, why are we talking about that? Roth is for retirement, HSA is for health expenses coming up right now. No. If you're a fan of the Wise Money Show, you know I'm a big believer in the HSA as well, and rethinking the HSA as a multifunctional tool for your finances as opposed to just for health expenses. Because the Roth IRA, after tax in, tax shelter growth, tax-free withdrawal of that growth out there in retirement, okay? HSA, though, is pre-tax in, tax sheltered growth. All of it comes out no tax, tax-free, if used for qualified medical expenses. And you can even reimburse yourself for qualified medical expenses incurred after having a qualifying high deductible health plan sometime out there in the future. Therefore, if you've got the ability to fund a Roth IRA, your income's below those thresholds, and you have a qualifying high deductible health plan, you need to rethink, you need to work with your CFP to say, what's the best way to use these two incredible tools for your financial future? It may make sense to make sure that you're maxing out your HSA, and then anything additional that you want to be saving towards retirement should be going into that Roth. But time to rethink that. Look at all 6 areas of your financial life. Work with your CFP. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K. WiseMoneyShow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go on and take your next wise step in your financial life.